who is this guy?
This is Matt Birk. Now, Matt Birk, people from the upper Midwest might know him as...
Vikings fans and Ravens fans might know this guy.
So he was a 10-year center on the Vikings offensive line during like the Culpepper and Moss era.
Oh, wow.
Smart guy. I think I should say this.
Fun team.
The reputation was a smart guy.
Harvard educated, won a Super Bowl with the Ravens in 2013.
Exactly. He was a Pro Bowler. And center is, people don't give the lineman credit, but center is an important position for in defense. So I always grew up assuming Matt Birk was an intelligent individual.
Center is supposed to be like the smartest position after the quarterback, which is why coaches always funnel white kids towards those positions.
And this guy went to Harvard. So I just want people to remember that when they say like Harvard is churning out, crazy left wingers, that it actually turns out galloping idiots like Matt Birk, because Matt Birk is doing for centers in the NFL what Ben Carson did to brain surgeons.
Yes, and he's running for lieutenant governor in Minnesota here.
Yes, he is. And so now like you said, Bender, we have the Bender, Birk, Leck, Walsh spectrum here.
Lots of Matts today.
Just a little more context. This speech that he's giving here, it's a compilation of his remarks, is from June 24th, the day that Roe was overturned.
Right.
Gotcha.
But obviously it's not over. Our culture loudly but also stealthily promotes abortion. Telling women they should look a certain way, they should have careers, all these things. It's real now. An abortion, again, rape is obviously a horrible thing, but an abortion is not gonna heal the wounds of that. And the two wrongs is not gonna make it right. One of the arguments that I've probably saw 20 times online today was about rape, and obviously. They always want to go to the rape
pause
card,
it for a second.
right?
Let's just address the careers thing before Matt Birk starts talking about his opinions about rape. Just one note, this is from the Minnesota Reformer, which anybody up in Minnesota in the area should follow, but he says, it's unclear from the video clip what the relationship between the culture promoting abortion and promoting women in the workforce. What is clear, if women stopped working, Minnesota's economy would collapse. Just before the pandemic, women made up 51.5% of the Minnesota labor force.
I also just like the concept of, sunk cost fallacy for rape. Right? Hey, I mean, it's already happened. It's already happened.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
Two wrongs don't make right. In fact, actually, in this instance, this does make a right, because the woman would not be able to have her rapist baby.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, exactly. That is just right.
That is the right thing.
Which is, I say, great. If you want to agree on the other 99.8% of pregnancies, if we're right there, then let's talk about the 0.2%. But rape is obviously a horrible thing.
Yep.
Shortly after we'd won the Super Bowl, did I mention I won the Super Bowl? No, or anything.
What a sight!
Well, abortion's legal.
Sorry, but pause it to go from talking about rape. And being forced to carry a pregnancy to term from the result of a rape, to do a little. I want a Super Bowl. Yeah. Okay.
I dropped my ring.
We totally raped the Niners.
That's psycho. That is psychopath behavior. What he just did there. Yeah.
And it was kind of an easy out for a lot of people that didn't really want to engage. Well, it's legal. A lot of things have been legal before that we've changed, right? We always hear about I'm sure you've heard. I know I'm talking to a bunch of pro-life warriors here. Slavery used to be legal, right? Which is an interesting comparison to make, because really the way that the other side treats an unborn child is basically that unborn child is the property of the mother. Other laws, women used to not be able to vote in our country. Now we let them drive.
You just said we shouldn't. That was like the first joke, that we shouldn't let them work.
Right. I have 3 teenage daughters that drive. I don't know if that's a good law or not, but
women drivers, am I right?
Sorry, kidding to all the women out there.
Or 3 kids, Jesus.
And don't tell my wife I used that joke. She hates that joke.
Luckily, it's on video. Man.
So
a lot of laughter for that one, by the way.
Need to work on the Type 5 though. Not a good. Need to workshop.
Yeah, a bit
little more.
thematically all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of rape. A lot of like sharp pivots to and from the rapes.
He's always
I would
gone, but he
suggest
always
to remove
returns back to the rape. That is like the silver lining if we're giving him a compliment sandwich, right? The first thing is, hey, you were thematically consistent about the rape thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very clear that, and it's not just this particular person, but that, you know, this ideology that they profess to have of like every pregnancy needing to end in, you know, life, a baby being born, is full of holes, full of flaws, full of like reality, like poking, you know, holes in that narrative, in the logic of it. And, you know, for them to keep being so chipper about like the pro-life movement, they have to pretend like bad things don't happen, you know, not just accidents. And I guess this is just a trend of our punitive society generally, pretending that like accidents don't happen, that bad things don't happen, that things that are outside of people's control, that have the capacity to have the potential to dramatically affect their lives, happen all the time. And that's why we have a social safety net. That's why we need to have women need to have access to abortion. That's why trans people need to have access to the proper hormone therapy. That's why people need access to mental health systems, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, in order for them to justify being both like Christian and wanting good things from the world, they just have to pretend like those things are anomalous, that those things don't really happen enough to really warrant anything that the government should do or mandate, that we can just rely on charity or any sort of fringe group that needs to fill in those gaps, fill it in, because it's just an anomaly in our society, because, you know, they just live in a completely divorced dimension from like the way our by American society functions. Like you said, 1 in 4 women will be raped in their lifetime. We know that to be true from statistics. That might be an undercount. They would either dispute those statistics or just sort of give one of those shrugs that would go like, well, 2 wrongs don't make a right. But it's clear that they don't think like critically about it, because if they did, they would realize that if nothing else, their prescription for like that is just inhumane. So they just have to go towards well, I haven't considered this very carefully, because I have just pushed it to the back of my mind that bad things happen, and that therefore if we don't allow for, you know, some sort of forgiveness through the system, not that abortion is forgiveness, but I mean in terms of punitive, generally forgiveness, then it's just going to ruin a bunch of people's lives who don't need to have those lives ruined.
Yeah.
But to me, I mean, like the fact that he can't speak about it without like stumbling, the fact that he can't speak about like, oh, what about in cases of incest? What about in cases of rape? What about in cases of underage pregnancies? What should we do then? The fact that he kind of goes all, you know, high school sex ed teacher just speaks to the point that I was making when they want to ban sex ed too. It's like he's clearly too uncomfortable about this topic to be deciding about it. Frankly, he can't even communicate without going off on tangents. And yet he wants to be saying like, oh, well, that doesn't happen. That's only 2.0002% of cases.
And,
it's like,
and he's doubled down on it.
He can't communicate what his thoughts on this without turning each single point he wants to make into a punchline. Yeah. He has to joke about it, because otherwise he has to deliver these lines seriously, and he sounds like a maniac for trying to force women to carry a rapist's baby.
Yeah. So you have to minimize it. You joke about it. It doesn't really happen. It doesn't happen at all. It happens once a week. So that's not too many times. It's like, it's disgusting, but it does go to show, I guess, that they're just, they're not critically thinking about the consequences of it. Either it's because they are Christian fundamentalists and they don't care, or it's because they're just like pandering to those populations that they think they need to pander to. And it's just another thing they have to say.
In a Wednesday social media. Oh, go ahead, Ben.
No, go ahead, Matt.
In a Wednesday social media post, Birk did not back away from the comments. I've done on over 200 pro-life events over the last 10 years, and I've given the same speech pretty much every time. Now, that is disqualifying in and of itself. And I would also say, how much were you paid for that over the course of your life? I'd be curious to know about those sorts of numbers.
Birk's like, my set was good.
The same exact
Those lines
speech.
were crisp.
That last one about women drivers always gets a big laugh. So I don't know what, I guess
that's
we're just not
closer. That's his
sophisticated.
knockout.
But like, you see kind of how all of those ideas intersect with his ideology, right? Like you got controlling women. Hey, they have careers. They used to not be able to drive. That's at the forefront of my mind when I'm talking about abortion or when I'm talking about rape or what, right? Like and when he's at that right to life event, you can see that all of those ideas intersect and resonate with them as well. That's why he's speaking off the cuff about them in that manner. And, you know, the fact that he doubled down on it shocks me, because this seems like the kind of situation where it's like you'd feel comfortable in this room saying that, but in a larger public space, maybe you wouldn't.
I would say I do like how he compared abortion to slavery. And somehow that, like, because despite the, I guess, the underlying topic of the speech he was given or set or whatever, you know, being rape, he never once mentioned all the slaves that were raped and obviously had to carry their rapist baby to term. You know, most famously Sally. Oh my God, I almost said I forget Sally Jenkins. What is the last name of Thomas Jefferson's slave? But
Hemings.
you know, Sally Hemings, whose family generations later has had to sue to be acknowledged as being the heirs to the Jefferson name. It's like it wasn't uncommon then for people to be forced to carry their rapist baby, and that's the kind of world they want to go back to.
Right. Also, the idea that he'd bring up, you know, how abortion is easy out that led to like women working or whatever. How many women in this country work? What, over 100 million? We'd have a lot of abortions if there was a correlation there. A lot of abortions. They would be really losing their mind if that was the case.
But yeah. I don't understand why women working is a bad thing. I guess, you know, again, all Republicans do is complain about people not wanting to work. And so then he's just like, women, they just want to work too much. And that's why they're having abortions. And it's just like, shit, dog. They sound like you're like the exact kind of person that you want.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
Like that's what capitalism wants, right?
Yeah, but they want it on their terms.